Last 10 days were filled with excitement, thrills, win, losses and disappointments, but it's finally over. The 2022 World Athletic Championship in Eugene, Oregon, USA comes to an end. There were a lot of incredible moments in this year's championship. Let's see what our News 9 sports editor Sandeep Mishra has to say about it. Sandeep, the chapter of Eugene is finally over. A lot of records were broken this time around. Top 5 moments according to you, Sandeep.
Well, it's a difficult pick for sure. There were so many of them, but yeah, I mean, today the 5,000 meters was incredible.
Yeah.
But well, one moment that really stood out was Bakali. For me, it was always that race.
Bakali's final dash.
Yeah, the final dash and the way he reeled in the other athletes, the way he did all of that. I mean, that was terrific. Of course, Sydney McLaughlin, you know, an incredible 400 hurdles.
Yeah.
Looking forward to basically watching them.
We have the graphics for Bakali.
Yeah,
Wins the 3,000 meters triple G's through his final sprint. Clocks 8:25.13 in the final.
Sydney McLaughlin, of course. Then Sherika Jackson.
Sherika Jackson.
I mean, a terrific 200 meter. Looking forward to more and more in that sense from an athlete who's probably now has the second best timing in history.
Yeah.
And of course, when you look at shot put, the throws and the jumps, then Ryan Krauser for sure. I mean, like one man, I mean, and that's the Jamaican.
Yeah.
Out of the shadows of Fraser
Second
Price.
fastest.
I think the main thing was getting out of the shadows of Fraser Price, because
Yeah.
for long there's one athlete who's dominating. I don't see her coming into the 100 for sure, because she doesn't have the build for that.
Okay.
But 200 definitely, she's terrific when it comes to that. Yeah, and Krauser and Santos.
Yeah.
Santos, young, smooth hurdler.
Technically gifted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way he runs, the way he crosses those hurdles, the way he goes over them, and then final kick at the finish line. You know, even if it's a close race with him, you can always expect him to win. So in that sense,
he also puts an end to Warholm's haul.
I think he would mentally now get into him. You know, till now, Warholm was this huge guy on the track, unbeatable. But now with him taking him on, and then Warholm is not finishing second or third. He finished way behind. Now that's going to take that's a challenge that Warholm has to overcome now. And with the Olympics and all of that coming up in 24, but the big challenge will be next year in Budapest when the World Championships goes there. That's 2023. So expect him to dominate for sure. And if he does the way he's doing right now, he'll be in the top 5 of all time. Because hurdling is an exercise. It's just not about running fast. It's also about how you measure between hurdles. It's also about how you measure the timing in terms of, again, between the hurdles.
He was quite smooth with it.
He was brilliant with it. I mean, you didn't even think he was going over the hurdles. He was skimming over them in that sense. So these are the big moments. These are the big athletes that we saw who really came good in that way.
And Sandeep, even the Indians didn't fail to disappoint. There were 6 Indians who made it to the finals. Let's have a look at them. Obviously, we can't forget Neeraj Chopra's throw, which allowed India to end the 19-year drought at the World Athletic Championship. He bagged silver at the javelin throw event. 88.13 Sandeep. He couldn't touch the 90 mark, but still bags the silver.
I think the 90 is going to be coming there. And one thing is for sure with Chopra since 2017, for everybody who's been seeing him rise through the U20 gold medal that he won, onto the Asians in the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Games and the Tokyo Olympics, he's a guy who can easily be consistent between 91 and 93 once he gets over the barrier. Honestly, it's not a mental barrier, because he must be touching that in training and practice. It's more of how your body feels, and on that day I think Anderson felt better. He was in control of himself. You know, javelin throws, shot putters, discus, hammer, these are the athletes who need to control themselves when they come onto the pitch. When they come out there, you know, it's their mind, their muscle, their body fitness, everything has to come together. It's almost like a bowler. You know, you may bowl fast, but you got to be there, you know, you have to be on the stumps, you got to be right on the pitch. With most of these guys, it's just like that. And I think on that particular day, he got a silver, he came back from 4th and 5th and whatever. But Anderson was surely the definitive better javelin thrower, the better athlete. Going forward, 92-93 will not be a big deal for Neeraj Chopra, and once he crosses that 90, then you will see the consistency come in. And let's hope he finishes the Commonwealth with a gold. Let's hope he finishes, and if he goes to the Diamond League finals, which is on September 7th and 8th in Zurich, I think that's where the challenge with Peterson will again come. Peterson is again going to be there in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So let's hope that these young guys, I mean, they go on for another 4, 5, 6 years and delight everybody who understands track and field and who's a fan of javelin, or now has become a fan of javelin since Chopra came onto the scene. So long years for Chopra.
Even Rohit Yadav made it to the finals along with Chopra. He finished in the 10th spot. That's a different thing. But still, it's an achievement for the Indian athlete.
It is, but he needs to come out of the shadow, you know, you really, because Neeraj Chopra is big. You know, he's now like a tree, like a huge, massive banyan tree sitting there in Indian athletics, simply because he's won the Olympic gold medal and he's taken a world silver. So anybody who's coming from below, from the juniors and coming up, he has to first see this whole massively big billboard cutout of Neeraj Chopra standing there. It's like Fraser Price versus Sharika. Sharika finally came into her own after so many years. So Rohit has everything. Most javelin throws are going to be good. Question is, how fast can they climb up? Rohit needs to do 86, 87 consistently if he needs to become a challenge, or if he needs to really do well on the Asian circuit. I think he needs to take it step by step. Nobody can be a world champion on day one, and neither was Neeraj Chopra. He's consistently moved up. Rohit needs to do the same.
True. And also, the first one to enter the finals was Sable, Sandeep, but Sable ended the race in the 11th spot. He was good in the qualification stages, but not that great in the finals.
I think it's tactical. And I did read an interview where the coach probably says that we didn't know what was happening. Listen, it's a very simple formula in coaching. If the coach doesn't know what's happening in the race, he probably doesn't know his athlete, number one. And number two, he probably had no clue what was going to happen. Now that is a disadvantage for who? For the athlete, for Sable. Now this is a point that the Athletic Federation needs to understand, or whoever is in charge of Sable. You got to keep this man abroad. You got to keep him running there against the best. If he's not going to do that, then listen, after a point you may break the national record 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. You can take it home and keep it in your Ilmari, you know. Nobody really cares about that. But after a point you need to be in the top 6, top 3, top 4 of the world, because that is where the legends get built. And if that is not going to happen, then it becomes an issue after a point. He's a great athlete. He's doing everything perfectly. And that's where he needs to understand that he needs to move up. Along with his management, along with his coaches, his team, they need to understand that he needs to move up. So move him up. Don't keep thinking or be happy that he's breaking national records. National records will keep, you know, they will happen all the time. But it's at the World Championship podium, that's where stories are built.
True, Sable has a long way to go, Sandeep. And also, let's talk about Rani. She ended in the 7th spot and she has bettered her record. Last time she was in the 9th spot, now in the 7th spot. So she's certainly making strides.
She is making strides, but you can also see that there's a plateau happening out there. She is, after a particular mark, the throws are not really going up. You can see that. Now, how do you do that? What do you do with all of the experience that she's got? It's something again that people will have to sit down with her and ensure that, you know, that she gets more competition. And we'll come to that with Abby Steiner and all of that, how much competition is required at the world level. We never actually delve into the competition part. We are always hovering around how many times you've broken a national record. We never ask how many times did you throw against top competition, how many times did you run against top competition, how many times did you go to Europe, how many times did you go to US, how many times have you really gone and run against top class people or thrown against top class people. You can only get better once you know your opposition. You know, if you don't know the opposition at all, then how are you going to get better?
It's a psychological thing.
Yes, and the reason, like you said, 6 in the final, 7 in the final, it's a big step. There is no doubt about that. And that has happened because they have started competing. Now what do? You take your game a little up. You start competing with them regularly instead of this sporadic thing. You just can't, after 4 or 5 months competition here and there, you can't just go and start standing Eugene and say, I'm going to be on the podium. No. Chopra has been consistently performing. He's been going abroad. He's been against the best. So now give these guys a chance. Send them abroad. Put them up against the best, and you'll get the results. Of course you will get it.
Right, Sandeep. Even Paul has created history, reaches the triple jump final for the first time. Any Indian making a mark in the finals for the first time?
Triple is a massively technical event, and it also needs to draw in a lot of fans. I mean, in India or anywhere else in the world, the long jump is the most coveted one. When you look at jumps, or the high jump for that matter, or the pole vault if you really want to look at a jump. But the triple is so technical and sometimes so complex in the way an athlete works around it that it doesn't get the popularity that it really deserves. I think most athletes fight against that. They try and be in the open, they try and ensure that there are people watching and appreciating. I think that's one thing that he's done for the sport, that he's asked people asking, hey, what's a triple jump, you know. So Paul's done that very nicely. They have been, Arpinder and all have been very good jumpers in the past. But now for somebody to go to a world championship final and have people ask questions about the sport, and he himself probably now is going to ask the management that, you know, now that I've done it, now what am I supposed to do? You can't keep jumping in India and then expect you to be jumping close to 16 plus 17 and all of that. But yeah, I mean, his achievement is massive.
It's big.
And also, you know the story of how he was rejected in a college because of a sports scholarship. For somebody like that to achieve all of this is huge.
It's a huge thing. And lastly, let's talk about Shankar, who has shown promise.
I think if you really look at talent from the new, I would put my finger on Shankar. I honestly would do that. And you always see that, you know, maybe he might be going to a university abroad and all. And one really wishes he does that, you know, goes off to Texas, goes off to some other university where track and field is very, very high in the priority order, and he will do well. His jumps are very good. There is no doubt that his jumps are good. You can't be jumping all of that and then expect that, okay, now, you know, that I'm not a talent. He is a talent. Broaden him, expand him, and that's where management comes in. That's where everybody comes in. That's where fan support comes in. If he gets all of that, he'll be on the podium in Budapest. I'm very confident of that. He will be there. But push him, give him all the ingredients that are required to do that mix, you know.
And Sandeep, how can we not talk about the drama that unfolded on the final day? Jacob wins the 5,000 meter sprint race, and he was outstanding, Sandeep, especially in the final minutes. But isn't it very difficult to pull that off after running almost 95% of 5,000 meter?
It's like he was at the back of the pack, and there was a plan. You listen, I mean, most of the long distance, middle distance are always on a plan. They are mostly tactical. Now he could have easily lost from there. You know, the other ones could have gone 200 meters ahead, 150 ahead. He could have not done that. He couldn't have really sprinted. The others were afraid, and they were waiting for him to move. And he moved with only 600 meters to go. And then when he started moving, he reeled in the others. The others were panicking. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether he's going to sprint. They didn't know whether he'll be in the front pack. They had no clue what he was about to do. And you could see it on his face in the last, not even 600, in the last 800 to 900 meters, you could see it on his face. He knew what was happening in the race. In 5,000 and 10,000, athletes are always thinking where they are in terms of the race. The ones who are at the back and ones who are at the back, they are wondering where is the champion.
Similar to steeplechase.
Exactly. And also to 1500, where he lost actually to Whiteman, you know. That great finish that had happened. He never expected it. Now he reversed the roles. He became the Whiteman in the 5,000, and he reversed it on the Olympic champion. And that's where he went ahead. The Olympic champion finished 7th. He was so shell-shocked. He didn't know where he was going, and others crowded around. Once the crowd comes in and you are in front with 600 meters to go and you have that extra energy in you, you will win. There is nothing that will disallow or probably prevent you from winning unless somebody is about to outsprint you. in a 5,000 with 500 meters to go, nobody can outsprint a champion of the kind of the Jacob is. And with the plan that he had, it was impossible. He won, canter. Look at the smile on his face later. He was so happy because his plan worked. When plans work, athletes are happy.
He kept his stamina for the final minutes. But in the pole vault event, Sandeep, Duplantis breaks the world record. Interestingly, the last world record was also in his name, and he has been doing this time and time again. How good was he today, Sandeep?
No, he was excellent. There was a time when probably in the middle he missed a jump and also everybody was a little, even the commentators were getting a little worried, where is he going? But these guys, I mean, for Duplantis, 6.17, 6.19 is something that they just jump, even while they're sleeping, they're probably jumping those heights. But it was excellent. He actually took 6.21 because he had already taken the gold. Then he went for the world record, which was 6.20 in his name. Then he needed a 6.21. And I think at that point of time, the relay started. So he stopped. He missed his first one. Then the relay started. The relay finished and then he came in. And the crowd was still waiting for that 6.21. And he sailed over. And he gets 100,000 for that effort. They used to say this about Sergei Bubka. Sergei Bubka used to break records whenever they say he needed money. So he used to go break the record, collect his $100,000 check and then go home. They said he's breaking records only for the $100,000 and not for, because he, of course those are stories, but they're great stories in athletics.
There are a lot of things to discuss, Sandeep, but we'll keep that for some other day. As of now, the World Athletic Championship is over, but the Commonwealth Games are right around the corner. Don't worry, we'll keep you posted with the events taking place in Birmingham. That's it from this episode. Thank you, Sandeep. We'll be back with more interesting news, insights, facts and figures from the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games. Until then, keep watching News9 and don't forget to press the like button. To stay updated with what's happening in the world of sports, press the bell icon. This is Hardik Agrawal signing off.